Subcompact cars are never really that exciting, but this Nissan Versa for $21,000 or less might still be a great option for you for a subcompact car. Today we're going to take a full detailed look at the exterior, which is refreshed, the interior, and get it out on the road for a test drive. Let's get started. All right, y'all, let's take a look at the exterior details of this Versa. Now, this is the top-end Versa SR, so it is the most expensive, but it's still only $21,000, and you can get into a Versa for closer to $16,000. So right up front for 2023, the Versa is revised. We've got a refreshed front end. This new V-Motion grille is brand new. This whole front fascia looks completely different than the previous model, and I'd like to know what you think. You still get LED headlights on this top trim with the LED V signature light right there as well. So what do you think of this Versa refresh? Still has the same body shape obviously, but that front end is refreshed. You'll also see that these wheels, these 17-inch wheels, are new. You'll get a variety of different wheel sizes, but this Versa is going to give you the most sporty looking wheel. And this is the scarlet red paint. I think it looks pretty nice on here. It's got a nice metallic-y flake as well. You know, one thing I don't always expect to see in a small car is turn signals in the mirror or a heated mirror. So those of you that live in cold climates, a heated mirror is fantastic. We also have blind spot monitors in those as well. And this one, since 2020, it's had a revised rear suspension for better structural rigidity and better riding dynamics as well. And it's only 177 inches long, so very compact, easy to get around. Just like other Nissan products, we've got this floating roof design where you have the separation of the paint right there. So it's like this back of the roof is floating, boomerang style taillights. And what do you think of the overall look of this Nissan Versa? One of the most impressive things of this Versa, I think, is first of all, even at this price point, you have a touchpad to open up this trunk lid, or you can use your key fob, and you get 15 cubic feet back here. This is great. This is like mid-size sedan level. You've got a wide area right here. It's actually really tall, so this load floor is really low. Plus, you've got good depth. The depth, the width, the overall size is amazing for this size of a vehicle. And that backpack in there is a pretty large backpack, and there's still tons of room to spare. You could stack backpacks in here, and you can fold those seats down. And there's even a little more space under here with the spare tire. There's enough room to throw some jumper cables or an emergency kit or something. Nissan, you deserve a big high five for this trunk, because this is fantastic for this size of a car. We actually get Nissan's updated key fob, so this is different than what they've been rolling with. You've got the lock, unlock, and remote start on this particular model, and you can even open up your trunk on this one. So it does have the smart key. Everything operates with this button. This will lock it, and this will also unlock it. Now, as we take a look at these seats, the SR trim here is going to give us these like sportier fabric type seats. So they're all going to be a cloth material. This one gives us a little extra flair compared to the non-SR models, and it's going to be entirely manual adjustment. You've got height and recline over here, and then just scooting forward and backwards. There is no adjustable lumbar support. I always wish we could get at least a manual adjustment on lumbar support, but there's not in here. But for the most part, I've been comfortable. The headrest isn't too far forward, and unlike the Kicks, which has the speaker in the headrest and kind of some hard edges, this one does not have that. And overall, I mean, most of you will probably fit in here okay. One big bonus is we have heated seats. You and the passenger, 2-tier heated seats, no ventilated seats though. The steering wheel is leather wrapped as well. It's not a heated steering wheel. It's manual tilt and telescoping, and it's got a good enough motion. Could come out a little bit further. Now climbing into the backseat, backseat passengers get a little armrest right there, a huge bottle holder, which is actually nice. You get the same kind of sporty looking cloth seats here. The only thing is there's no center folding armrest, which is a bummer. And sitting behind myself, foot space is fine, pretty good considering the overall dimensions of this vehicle. And we get one USB-C charging port right there in the middle. If you want air conditioning vents, you'll have to rely on everything from the front. And even though I can fit leg-wise, I can't fit sitting up. Even without my hat, my head is right up to the ceiling. I'm 5'9", so keep that in mind. All right, now a quick look at the interior here. So it is, about what you would probably expect for the subcompact class. You've got a little bit of nice materials, but mostly a cheaper type of plastic interior as you'd expect. Up here, this is a hard plastic, but you do have a soft Little bit of padding on that armrest, a decent grab handle, and one automatic window up and down. Plus, you got a big enough bottle holder for something like this. Just to the left, you got a little storage area. You can open your fuel door and your hood right there. This is push button start. Push that, starts right up. So the steering wheel has the same kind of typical Nissan controls. Easy to use. Everything is on the front of the steering wheel. Then we have this little digital driving display. You've got a digital cluster there. Plus you have this gauge, or this digital display. Did I say digital cluster? Analog gauge over there, and a digital cluster over here. And look, I've gotten about 36 mpgs so far over that distance. Not bad at all. It's not, you know, the most intuitive or the nicest screen like you get in the Rogue, for example, but it's still nice. It gives you a lot of information, and it's nice to have a digital option if you want. Coming over here, you're going to get an 8-inch touchscreen on this SR model. So this is just like you'll see in pretty much every other Nissan. You've got physical buttons, a volume knob, a tuning knob. Everything is really easy to use. You've got some shortcuts down here on the bottom as well. I just plugged in my phone. You've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The only thing is that this has to be wired in. There's no wireless. I didn't expect that at this price point, but it works well, and it takes up this whole screen. This has a 6-speaker system, whereas the lower trims will have a 4-speaker system. Down from there, we've got automatic climate control here. It's not a dual zone, but you do have auto temperature control on this particular model. Heated seat buttons are right there. And then down here, you've got a 12-volt power outlet, a USB-C and USB-A, and that's a wireless charging mat. So that's actually nice. I did not expect a wireless charging mat in here on this price point. Down here, these cup holders are just fine. They don't have anything that accommodates different size drinks, but most things will fit in there okay. If you ever have to put the parking brake on though, it's extra tight right next to the cup holder. Minor complaint. And then in here, this armrest is nice and soft and padded, but mostly for the passenger, probably because of the range of motion pulling this parking brake. But if you lift this up, you've got a USB-C port and some little storage right here. Nissan gives us a decent sized glove box right there. And one nice touch is this soft synthetic leather material running across the dash. So it's not all hard touch plastic. You get a manual flipping rearview mirror, no auto dimming mirror, even on this model at this price point. Overhead, regular, just interior lighting, no LED lights. We don't have a sunroof in here as well. But check this out, even for a small car, you have huge visors, first of all. They have these slide out trays, but it is a big tray to where you can probably block what you need to. And visibility out of here is not bad at all. I mean, you've got decent sized windows. It's not a huge pillar to where you don't have a huge blind spot. All right, y'all, we are now behind the wheel of this 2023 Nissan Versa. So one of the most impressive things about this car is the fact that it has Nissan Safety Shield on here, standard Nissan Safety Shield 360. So you've got automatic emergency braking in the front, in the back, lane departure alert, and we even have the available intelligent adaptive cruise control. We have the optional blind spot monitoring. So I mean, Nissan's got safety features all around, even on this subcompact car. One of the least impressive things is the way that it drives. Now, ride comfort is good. I'll talk about that. But the powertrain is definitely subpar. I'll put all the specs down below. You get a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder. Now, obviously, this is a small car. Nobody's going to expect very much for power. But I tell you what, when you're trying to pass somebody, it's a little bit scary because it just does not go. Only 122 horsepower, and with its CVT, continuous variable transmission, yikes. In town, for the most part, it's punchy enough and it's responsive enough, and it gets up to 40 miles per gallon on the highway. And as you saw with my MPGs here, I've been averaging 36 total with mixed driving. So that is very welcome, fantastic, and that's exactly why most of you are going to get this car. It's more affordable, it's efficient, and honestly, it's more spacious than what you would expect just from looking at it. Ride comfort, I would say, is probably the best part of the driving experience. The ride comfort is good. It's a fairly soft ride. In 2020, they updated the suspension. It's a little smoother. It just rides better. And it's not even all that loud in here when we get on our decibel test for road noise. It's not quiet, but I mean, it's quieter than some competing vehicles, which is a big win considering the price. Like right there, we just hit a manhole, just a little manhole cover. and you could hear it, but it's not like it was annoying. The ride comfort is great for a small car. Now, steering wise, nobody's going to really care that much about this, but it's fine as well. I mean, it's not an excellent handler per se. You do get some body lean and some kind of lackadaisical, loose type steering, but it's still nimble enough, and parking this thing is an absolute breeze. It's so small, nimble, easy to turn into some spots. Now I'm going to put us in sport mode, so it doesn't really have a quote sport mode. There's a little button at the bottom of the shifter. You push that and then it'll put an S next to the D for drive, and it should make this a little bit more punchy, a little more responsive. Pedal down. Alright, so that's one of the most unpleasant things about this car. Obviously it's not a huge deal, but it's what comes with the territory of these really small subcompact cars. It's not gonna be fast, nobody expects that, but it's gotta be quick enough to be able to comfortably pass somebody, which can be a problem sometimes, especially when you're at higher speeds, like on a highway, single lane. It's tricky. You just gotta factor that into this car. But the trade-off is the 40 mpg on the highway, and it's not even a hybrid. It does great. In town, it still gets pretty good efficiency as well. And the fact that you have the adaptive cruise control, you have the lane departure alert system, make it for a nice drive when you're on the highway. And like I said, road noise, you can maybe hear a little wind noise. It's a pretty windy day right now, but it's still quieter than I honestly expected at this price point. Now, ergonomics, driving this on a day-to-day basis, reaching that screen, everything is easy, good visibility there. You can have it look more like an analog screen, or you can have more digital information on the left, and it's been pleasant to drive for a small, affordable car. Now, to wrap things up on this 2023 Versa, I like the refresh. This little front end styling is nice. That trunk in the back is massive. That is mid-size sedan level size trunk, which is great for this small car. And you can get the Versa for around $16,000. This one right here is $21,000 and is the top trim with quite a few bells and whistles. So what do you think of this as an affordable subcompact car? Would you go for this or something else? Or maybe move up to something like the Kicks, a little crossover type? Leave your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.